nothing worth having is easy. It's going to take work. It's going to require a bit of effort on your part, but you're going to be so glad that you did it when you come out the other side and you have a budget that works.
Budgeting is boring.
How can you say that budgeting is boring? Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. If you're new around here, thank you so much for stopping by. My name's Tolu, and on this channel I share content all around personal finance, budgeting, frugal living, and I show you how to live your best life on a budget. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back to watch another video. It's great to see you here again. So in today's video, what I'm going to be doing is talking to you about 7 budgeting myths that are literally a myth that you really need to ignore. These budgeting myths are stopping you from starting a budget and are affecting your relationship with the whole budgeting concept. So definitely by the end of this video, we're going to debunk some of those myths, and we're going to have you a lot more confident about having a budget, starting a budget and sticking to it. So what is a budget? First of all, a budget to me is just a plan for your money. You need to have a plan for your money before you spend it. So not like what a lot of us tend to do, which is we kind of, we know how much our bills cost, we know roughly how much our rent is, how much our travel is, and we have money left over and we're like, okay, I'll spend that money. But the reality is a budget is a plan for that money. So all the money that you have coming in, you have a plan for every single penny and pound before you spend any of it. And in this way, you're able to have so much more money to do other things, pay off debt, save, invest, etc. I think the whole budgeting concept really gets a bad rap, and people really have such a negative view at times when it comes to the whole idea of budgeting. But I truly believe that every single adult should have some kind of budget. So the first of the myths that I want to debunk is that budgeting equals deprivation. I like to change deprivation to liberation. I think budgeting equals liberation instead. I think when you have a budget, when you have a plan for your money, you know exactly what you're doing, where you're trying to go financially. It's a freeing feeling. It really makes you feel like, oh my gosh, I've got this. I'm in control of my money. I'm in control of where all my money is going. Whereas without a budget, a lot of the times your finances can just spiral out of control. So don't look at a budget as deprivation. Look at it as liberation. It's really going to free you up to be able to achieve all those financial goals that you want to achieve in 2021 and beyond. Don't see it as restrictive. Don't see it as something that's holding you back from living your best life. It's actually going to help you live your best life, which is why my strapline is live your best life on a budget. Because I think when you have a budget, when you have a plan for your money, you're really free to live your best life. That's definitely what I'd say. Budgeting doesn't equal deprivation. Budgeting equals liberation. Budgeting is for broke people. No, it ain't. I don't believe that. I don't subscribe to that way of thinking whatsoever. Budgeting is not for broke people. Budgeting is for all people. Every single person. If you're an adult, you have some form of income, you have expenses, you need a budget. You need a plan for your money, and you need to get in the driving seat when it comes to your finances. Because the reality is, without a plan for your money, more money will equal more problems. That's the reality of it. Why do you think that there's so many celebrities that were once multi-millionaires that are now broke? It's not because they had an income problem, it's because they had a spending problem. If they had better plan for their money and they had better control over their finances, best believe they wouldn't have ended up broke the way they did. And I think that's the same for people like myself and you watching this video. I don't suspect we've got any millionaires watching us at the moment, but if we do, hey. But the normal, average, everyday person, we need to get in control of our finances. We need to get on top of our money and not let it run away from us. So no, it's not exclusive to broke people or the working class. A budget is for everybody. Everyone should have a budget. So this is another common myth that I often hear, and that is budgeting doesn't work because I have unexpected expenses that arise during the month. So a lot of people think, things are going to happen that I don't know about. So what's the point of having a budget? But my answer to that would be, yes, that's exactly why you need a budget. Like, you actually need a budget because life happens. Things are going to happen that are beyond your control. Things that you didn't realize were going to happen are going to happen. So if you have no kind of budget, you have no kind of plan in place whatsoever, what are you going to do when these rainy days come? What are you going to do when things don't go according to plan, when unexpected expenses arise? Are you going to end up finding yourself in debt because you don't have a budget and a plan? So the beauty of a budget is that you can allocate money for these kind of scenarios. So that's why I talk about things like having an emergency fund, which is a fund that you set aside that you use to spend on things that are emergencies that you haven't planned for and you didn't expect it to come, but it has come and you need to deal with it. Putting money aside on a monthly basis from your budget, allocating it to emergency fund, is going to mean that you have money to deal with these kind of issues and these situations when they arise. So yes, you can't foresee what that rainy day is going to be or when it's going to come, but the reality is the rainy day will come and you need to get prepared for that. Okay, so this is another common myth, and to an extent I kind of understand why this myth exists, and that is the myth that budgeting is long, it takes time. I don't have time for that. I think my rebuttal to that myth would be that you need to make time for that because it is important and it's really going to help you in the long run. The time that you're saying it's taking for you to get a budget in place and get a plan for your money, that time you're going to end up spending it later on where you're trying to figure out the mess you've got yourself into. So get a budget in place, get a plan in place. If you find ways to automate your budget and make it less detailed and granular month in, month out, then you're going to find it doesn't actually take as much time as you think. Once you get systems in place, you have a plan in place, you have a strategy in place, then you can kind of, to an extent, let it run its course without having to do so much all the time every day. If you do a little bit consistently over time, you won't need to do so much every time. But if you don't have a budget, you don't have a plan, and you're starting from scratch, then yes, of course, it's going to take time. Anything new that you learn takes time, but after a while, it won't be such a big deal. It won't be so strenuous and it won't take up so much of your time. And you'll be so happy when you get to that stage because you've got in control of your finances. It's not taking up so much of your time and you're finding that you have so much more money to spend on the things that are really important to you. Budgeting is too much work. So I guess this is quite similar to the previous point in which I just made about budgeting taking too much time. People also think that it's too hard to do. And let me assure you, it is not too hard to do. Yes, it may take a little bit of time for you to learn and understand the steps required to have an effective budget, but it's not impossible. It's not exclusive to accountants and financial advisors. Every single one of us can create a budget that works and get a system in place for managing our personal finances. Because at the end of the day, we're all adults. We all have financial responsibilities for ourselves. So you can't say it's too hard. It needs to be done. It's one of those things that you can't avoid doing. I can honestly say I actually failed my financial accounting module in my first year of uni. So the irony of the fact that I now talk about money is crazy, but it just goes to show that anybody can learn if you're willing to put in the work to do it. So whilst at uni, I did not care for the accounting module because I went to uni to study marketing. Accounting had nothing to do with marketing in my opinion. But obviously fast forward now, I'm an adult, I need to manage my finances. I found myself in so much debt which I needed to pay off. Then I really just had to get to learning. Like I needed to find out and understand the principles of money, how money works, how I can make it work better for myself, how I can grow my money. All these things I learned through reading, I learned through YouTube, I learned through other people asking questions. Like the information is out there, so it's an excuse and it's a bit of a cop-out to just say, oh, it's too hard, it's too hard. Nothing worth having is easy. It's going to take work, it's going to require a bit of effort on your part, but you're going to be so glad that you did it when you come out the other side and you have a budget that works. Another common myth that I often hear is that I budget in my head. I don't need a physical budget. You can't really say that you budget in your head because the reality is the problem with when you make a mental note, the ink fades very quickly. So yes, you may have made a note in your memory about how much your budget is and how much money you have to spend on X, Y, and Z, but the reality is that that thought becomes a history very quickly. So it's important to have some form of written and documented budget, whether it's on an app, whether it's an Excel spreadsheet, whether it's a physical budget planner, whether it's good old-fashioned pen and paper. However you want to do it, whatever medium you want to use to create that budget, that's totally up to you. Whatever you can find that works for you, but the main thing is to get some kind of system in place. So the last myth is that budgeting is boring.
Budgeting is boring.
How can you say that budgeting is boring? Now, to be fair, it is kind of boring, but it is important. It's a necessity. We need to have a budget in place. As I've mentioned before, we're adults, we have responsibilities, we have places that we're trying to get to, goals we're trying to achieve and accomplish. So we're just gonna have to do it. Yes, it's not the funnest thing to do. It's not something I think, oh, Saturday night, let me do my budget. Like that is not how it is in my household. As sad as you may think I am, I'm not that sad, but the reality is it's so important to have a budget. It's so important to have a plan for your money. Yes, it may be boring, but you're an adult. At times you're gonna have to do things that are boring, that you don't enjoy doing, but it's called being responsible. So it's definitely something that you just need to kind of get over and just get it done. So what are some of the budgeting myths that you're holding on to? What are some of these things that you're thinking when it comes to the topic of budgeting that is stopping you from creating a budget and getting a plan for your money in place? I'd love to hear what your reasons are and the myths that are stopping you, or the myths that you've heard and that you've come across in your time. I'd love to hear them in the comment section below. So leave them down below so I can have a read and we can all see what some of the common myths are that we're all holding on to, so that we can dispel some of those myths and really start thriving as we're entering into the new year. Now is really the time to start getting on top of our finances, start getting a plan in place for our money, really like setting budgets, creating a budget, creating a plan, setting financial goals for ourselves. Now is the perfect time and a great time to do this. I truly believe that there's so much you can do and so much you can achieve if you get yourself a budget that works and a system in place for your finances. And that's something that I'm so passionate about. I keep talking about over and over again. Get a budget, get a plan. And if you need help with your budget, you need help with getting on a plan that works for you when it comes to your finances, then definitely just message me, drop me a DM, book yourself in for a discovery call via the link in my bio, and I can walk with you through this journey. So as I've mentioned in previous videos, one of the services that I now offer is one-to-one money coaching. So what I do is I work alongside clients on their issues when it comes to their finances. So what is your issue right now? What is stopping you from achieving those financial goals that you said you were going to achieve last year that you haven't yet achieved? What's stopping you from stepping out and stepping up financially? All of these things we can address and we can talk about and discuss and unpick during this consultation. What is stopping you from achieving what you want to achieve? Where do you want to go to? And what steps can we take in order for you to get there? So these are the kind of conversations that we have in the one-to-one coaching calls. It's been incredible starting this money coaching service, because since I've started it and I've had conversations with people about their financial situations, I've really realized that there's such a big need for this. Conversations about money are just not had enough. We don't talk about money enough. A lot of us are just kind of winging it when it comes to our finances, and I really want that to change. I really want to do my part in helping people on their journeys, because I know what it's like to struggle with your finances. I know what it's like to be crippled by debt. I know what it's like to not see the light at the end of the tunnel, to think that there's no way out for my situation. I've been there. It's not a nice place. It's a lonely place. It's an isolating place. It's not great at all. And if that is you that's watching this, I really want to be able to give that back to you and really help you on your journey. So definitely book yourself in for a discovery call. Let's have a conversation about your situation and see how we can get you back on track. And so with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching another video. I appreciate all your love, all your engagement, all your likes, all your comments. Do me a favor and share this video with a friend, share it with a family member, share it with anybody that you know that can benefit from this content, because I really want to get my message out to an even wider audience, so you can help me with that mission. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and I will see you on my next video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye.